All right, we'll call to order the Finance Committee meeting for Monday, July 11th. If everyone would stand for the prayer and the pledge. Mr. Valentine.
Bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord God. We ask blessings on our meeting tonight, Father. We also ask blessings on the Harvey Kling family, Lord, as Miss Velda has passed away, Lord. We ask that you comfort and the family in this time of sorrow, Lord. We ask, God, that you also remember our fighters and soldiers on foreign soil, Lord, and also here at home, Father. We ask all these things in your Son's holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Councilman Valentine. We'll move on to our roll call. Everyone present except for Councilman Justin and Councilman Bell. No chairs additions. Public comment period reminder, if you want to speak, please come see Cinnamon and sign up. And we'll move into number 5, proposed new economic development incentives presentation. Mr. Mike Eads.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Pleased to come before you this evening and talk about a project that we've been working on for a number of months. And we'll give you a little bit of background. That every year, at the end of the year, our board sets a set of strategic initiatives for the following year. And this year there were 7 of those, and perhaps the most important one, all of them are important, but perhaps the most important one was to take a look at incentives, to do a competitive analysis of the other communities in Louisiana and the Gulf Coast in general, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, to some extent, to see what other people are offering and how Ascension Parish ranked and stood in that process. And to come to make recommendations to the 4 political subdivisions in the Sheriff's Office about possible incentives to offer for projects and how that would take place and what they would be. We hired a company out of Mandeville called Time America Management Company to conduct the competitive analysis for us. They made a report which is quite extensive to our board on June the 9th, making certain observations and recommendations. Our board accepted that report at that meeting, and then afterwards staff made a couple of recommended tweaks to the recommended incentives, as well as a defined process of how we bring those to this to the Finance Committee and or the Council as appropriate. And we'll get into that in a minute. In addition to that, we had the recommendations that we're about to give to you vetted by legal counsel, and that was in the person of Ray Cornelius with Adams and Reese, who arguably, at least probably not in my opinion, but some people, arguably is the best economic development attorney in the state of Louisiana, and he has given us the legal okay that what we're going to propose to you is legal and doable, and we feel good about that. We are in the process of going to the affected political subdivisions in the Sheriff's Office to get an endorsement resolution for the program. We just left the City of Gonzales council meeting where we received that resolution. We expect to be in receipt of a endorsement letter from the sheriff in the next few days. And then in addition to this meeting, we are scheduled to appear before the town of Sorrento and the City of Donaldsonville councils in the near future. So with that, what are the recommendations? They're broken down into 2 categories. One is manufacturing and the other is non-manufacturing. So I'm going to talk to you about the manufacturing first. The first recommendation is the possible rebate of applicable sales and use taxes on building materials, machinery, equipment, and permanent fixtures during the initial construction and equipping phase of a qualifying new or expanding manufacturer in the parish. Let me go back to that and talk about there are three key words in there, I think, that I mentioned. One is rebate. We did not say waiver. We said rebate. You will get the money and then hold on to it and rebate it after certain conditions are met. Second is initial, not the ongoing operation of the facility. It is the initial construction and equipping thereof. So it has a time limit to it, which is actually a negotiable item on your part. This under certain state statutes, which I don't know if you're actually obligated to follow the terms of that, but it's either 24 months or 30 months, but we're getting into some minutia there. And then finally, qualifying was the operative word. And we're going to talk to you in a minute about what we mean by qualifying. I would note to you that in addition to this proposed sales tax rebate, you are already, as you know, I'm sure, required to forego ad valorem taxes for 10 years, well, 2 5-year periods essentially for manufacturers. Now let's go to non-manufacturers. We recommend the same rebate of the sales and use taxes as we did for the manufacturers under the same conditions. And the possible, again possible, abatement of ad valorem property taxes on new real and personal property for a negotiated period of time. This would require that the affected political subdivision, in this case being the parish council, or more likely your industrial development bond board, enter into what is called a payment in lieu of taxes agreement with the entity. You already have one of those in place with IMTT, and basically what that did, IMTT is not a manufacturer, they're classified as warehouser. And so what you did in that instance was, in essence, to give them the 10-year exemption like they were a manufacturer, although they're not. But that is one possibility. Or, and this is not and, another instance, or, for an existing facility, the ability to do what is called the restoration tax abatement, which essentially allows the waiver, not the waiver, the sets the ad valorem, the assessment rate holds it steady for 5 years, even though they would be improving the property. In order to do that, you have to create either a historic district, a downtown development district if you don't have one, or the last is what's called an economic development district, and that would be an action of council that has to take place in there. So those are the basic recommendations, and if you have any questions about those, I'll be glad to answer them now, but I'd like to turn it over to Deanna to talk to you about the process, about how we would bring that decision point to you.
If you look in your packet, you should have a flow chart, and I'm going to go through that with you and just explain the different steps and how we envision this working for the parish. The first step is receive the project documents. In addition to some other things that we're going to require from the state, AEDC will create an application for this program. We're going to review both applications that the state already has in Baton Rouge Area Chamber and try to create something that we think will cover all things that we need answered. Something important to note is that the project needs to be competitive. We're not looking to incent people that have already decided to be in the parish. We're looking to incent projects where this will make a difference, where they're seriously considering locating somewhere else in the state or somewhere else in the country, and this local incentive will give us the extra push that we need to help to earn the project. There needs to be a minimum of 20 jobs either created or retained. And those jobs either need to qualify for enterprise zone or quality jobs. These are both state programs, and the process that we've brought forth has statutorily allowed for the locals to come in and rebate the sales and use tax. So if the projects are quality job or enterprise zone qualified, it helps us to better run the program. If the project isn't quality job, if the I'm sorry, y'all. If the project is enterprise zone qualified, we want to make sure that they meet the quality job payroll. The quality job payroll allows that they're paying a greater wage and that they're also paying health insurance. If they meet all of those qualifications, we'll run it through an economic impact model. We do this in conjunction with Baton Rouge Area Chamber. They've actually provided that model to us. It helps us prove that the project will never receive any more revenue from the state, from the parish, than what we're giving up. At that point, the ADC staff will write a recommendation. We'll present it to our board. Our board at that point can choose to make some amendments. We will then bring that written recommendation to the political subdivision. You have complete authority at that point. You can accept it, reject it, or make amendments. After that, we suggest that you enter a cooperative endeavor agreement that will outline the incentives, give performance measures, and do reporting requirements. That's it.
Okay. I have a comment. I'm just looking through this, and I just want to say I think it's fantastic what you guys have brought to us. So first of all, appreciate the work that you, Mike, and Deanna have done. I think if we're going to be competitive in today's economy, we're going to have this kind of tool and this kind of bargaining chip at the table to try to land some of these major industries. Something like the mega site, for example, this I imagine would certainly help in that arena. I like how it has standards in terms of tying us to the Louisiana Economic Development's, it's Vision 2020 industries that are growing and all that, but also at the same time allows for some flexibility once we get, into the negotiation phase. I like how you've worked with the other government entities around the parish, so it's, a case of it's not just, it's all of Ascension Parish, because we could all benefit from something like this, bringing these kind of companies in. The question I had was around more of from a retail side of things. I know that's not one of the Vision 2020 categories, those sectors that they're targeting, but we constantly get questions around big box retail, something mega like we do with Cabela's, like Gonzalez did, I should say, but like, an IKEA, something that could draw from multiple states. Citizens would obviously like, it would help our bottom line because we still have very dependent upon sales taxes. Something like that, as long as they wouldn't meet the quality jobs, but they would meet the enterprise zone program. Is that correct?
You are correct. It is not eligible for quality jobs, but it's common for retailers to apply for and receive enterprise zone. And in the case you're talking about a big box or a larger type facility, more than likely they would meet our criteria for quality jobs as far as a certain number of people on their payroll and fringe benefits, and should provide a very good return on investment in that economic impact model.
Excellent. Okay. Councilman Clot?
Yeah, Mike, thank y'all very much. I appreciate this also. We definitely need some stimulus to work within. We need to generate our own economic package. It's definitely not working nationwide as it is right now. You guys work hard all year long. We need to incorporate some of the ideas. What we got here is we'd have to look at some key legislation to help us go forward on this. And you talked about the other entities, and even in your brochure you talked about the Ascension Parish Sheriff, possibly kicking in on this. And so, but we're not taking any school money.
Well, that is our recommendation on
Right.
that. If you did go to the abatement process, that the school money be held out.
Yes, I want to
I mean,
make sure
that's
that
up to
everybody
you.
was aware of that.
That is entirely up to you all. It's just our recommendation.
Anyway,
You can do whatever you want to do. I mean, actually, technically speaking, when you go under this pilot agreement, if it's in the Industrial Development Bond Board, the parish council has a little bit of input into that, but not a lot.
Right.
It's pretty much their decision because they would be the property owner. But
Right.
but it's just our council that we believe the schools of Ascension Parish are one of the key selling points, and that and we know there's a lot of capital projects they've got that it's just our advice that we hold that out, but that's totally up to you.
Well, I agree with you right now, 100% on not taking any money from the schools. But like I said, I agree with trying to go forward with something and work it. And you said you've been to what municipalities already? Gonzales City Council?
We've had discussions with all of the mayors and the sheriff,
Okay.
and we just left the city of Gonzales
Right.
Council and got the endorsement resolution we asked for. And again, expect a letter from the sheriff in the near future. And then we're going to Sorrento on the 19th and Donaldsonville on the 26th of this month, seeking an endorsement resolution. Again, I don't think this does not require an ordinance. Everything we propose is already
Within-
allowable.
It's allowable within law.
And so we're seeking an endorsement resolution. This is a marketing tool. That's what it is. But if I want to leave you with one final thought is we're not making decisions for you. You have the ultimate decision to do this, to tweak it and do it a different way. All we're doing is make a recommendation and bringing you quality information to help you make that decision.
Thank you, that's all I
Okay.
had.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert?
Yeah, Mike, building these zones, have you visited any other parish that's,
Yes, actually, the one is held up as an example is Tangipahoa Parish has declared the entire of the parish to be an economic development district. Now, I'm not exactly sure how and when they did that, or whether it's even allowable now, but they did it. We're not here standing here recommending that you do that, but
right, what
it's-
were some of the things that you observed when you was there?
Some-
In one of the zones or whatever was up and running?
You mean some of the projects?
Right.
Yeah, I don't, again, I don't recall the list from Tangipahoa
Yeah,
or
okay.
others, but I know one is, what Mandeville is, which parish, I can't recall.
The St. Tammany.
I think it's St. Tammany, correct. They, there was a large, rooms to go warehouse that was looking around, I think we were looking at Mississippi, and they were able to strike a deal with them to make it more attractive, to be in St. Tammany than Mississippi because of that economic development district.
I just spent a week in Mandeville, what
Okay.
I was All-Star. So
Okay.
I'm starting to realize what you're trying to propose. It's a lot of remote sites and different things that they pulled together, and it's really nice. So,
And again, again, another thought on that, this is not for every project. This, there will be, for the very attractive. We're not going to be coming to you well, hopefully we'll be coming to you every month, but yeah, we're not going to be coming up here 100 times during a year. This is for special deals, special opportunities.
appreciate that, Mike.
Okay. Any further discussion? Parish President?
You don't have a fiscal note on this about what it would be a year? Y'all done any math on this?
A year?
Yeah, I mean,
What
a
kind of
typical
impact we looking
year, how much would it basically, how much taxes would we be?
Well, my understanding is that the parish is only able to put its one cent
Yeah.
on the table as far as sales taxes.
Right.
go.
And each project's gonna be taken up individually.
That's
So
correct.
it's not like, so once you have a year under your belt, you might get an idea basically, what the cost would be to the parish as far as giving up its taxes. So,
But
Under the quality jobs and the enterprise zone program statutes, and I always get these reversed, but the state does 24 months
24 for enterprise zone.
for
30
enterprise zone and 30 for quality jobs. In other words, the project, they've got that time period to capture their rebatable sales taxes, so to speak. That is discretionary on your part. If you want to keep it that way or change it, or you might there's another alternative is to do what you did for dynamic fuels, where you actually capped it. You capped it at a dollar amount, which hindsight being 20/20,
Not have been.
turned out to be a pretty good decision because that project ended up, I think we were talking initially about 140 million, and it came in about 175 million, so.
But it would vary with every project, right, Mike? That's what the point of the
Exactly.
economic impact model would be. That would come to
Exactly.
us, that we would then,
Right.
you know, basically see what, yes, there may be some short-term giving away, so to speak, for the incentive, but long-term, you know, we would be able to see exactly what those numbers were.
That's correct.
And you need to focus on the fact that the deals that we're talking about bringing to you are deals that are likely going to go somewhere else if we don't do something. So the option of us not giving the incentive is that the total economic,
Right.
the total benefit of the project ends up going somewhere else.
It's never there to
And
begin
that's what
with,
we
yeah.
don't want to see.
Well, I think it's a good tool and something that we can look at. And as I said, as long as you can do it on an individual basis, I think that makes a big difference as to which, you know, if it's a project we don't feel that's worthy of it, then you have that choice. So.
Councilman Kluat?
Yeah, we talked about the fact that existing industry in the parish that, you said this is not necessarily programmed for those guys, but
No, it is,
Yeah, it is.
no, absolutely eligible.
But they
As
are
long as they're
eligible.
under our general guideline, adding
Yeah.
20 jobs. And you understand that, you know, we'll have some flexibility there. I mean, if somebody comes in with
But is
15
that-
jobs
because-
that pay $150,000 apiece, then, you know, that's,
I mean, because we're strong in industry here, and our
Right.
tax base and our economic support to all the people in the parish. And the
think,
fact that,
I
if
think-
any time that we can help industry and maintain and grow, because we definitely need a turn in the growing. We have industry that's sitting back right now, waiting on politics and based on national events to take place. We need some type of incentive.
Right.
So
It is
I'm
available
opposed.
for existing firms who are expanding, but with the caveat, it's got to be competitive.
Sure, we
We
understand
got to
that.
be looking at, and you know, as so common that the facilities here, we're either competing with Texas or Mississippi, but that's a key ingredient.
Well, with that, I propose that I make a motion that we resolve to back this program.
Okay, a motion by Councilman Kluat to endorse this program in form of resolution, and a second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Discussion, Councilman
Yeah,
Valentine.
Mike, maybe I missed it, maybe you talked about it. Is there a limit? So you said each project is separate?
Yes,
Is that what
sir.
you said?
Yes, sir.
And it would come to a separate, so,
Yes, sir.
for instance, we get a new core here. I mean, that would be an enormous amount of money that we'd be giving away
Exactly.
for a situation that may or may not need our incentive. But I guess that we would have to look at each project, the council would have to look at each project separately?
Yes.
That's
but
primarily
with-
what you're saying?
But with a recommendation from our board. So our board will vet it, so to speak,
Right.
before it comes to you.
Okay.
Okay. Councilman Johnson?
Mike, you were talking earlier, the state puts limits on the amount of money that these programs are eligible for, or is that per project like what we were just talking about?
Not per se, no. I mean, the state Quality Jobs and Enterprise Zone is a 4% or 4 cent rebate of their sales and use taxes. The limitation is on the time frame, how many months you can claim, you know, that it's part of the startup, not the operations.
Okay, okay.
That's the state's money
So
already.
it's also a situation we could do either or, put a time limit on it, or get a dollar cap,
Absolutely.
and it's on an individual basis, and this is strictly on sales taxes?
Well, in that one, you know, that's one of the incentives is the sales tax. The other ones are for the non-manufacturing. Well, that applies to non-manufacturers too, but the other ones are, as we said, the possible negotiation of ad valorem taxes in a payment in lieu of taxes agreement, or what's called the restoration tax abatement, which is for an existing facility to be renovated and improved, and that, I think statutorily, you're required to hold the assessment for 5 years at pre-improved values. That's just real estate. That
Right.
doesn't include the equipment.
Okay.
Okay.
Councilman Joseph?
the enterprise zone in our parish, we can it's just created all over the parish, or we have to decide which area you would come in and say you would like to make that area?
You want to answer that?
There's two different programs. The Enterprise Zone program is a state program, and there are predefined enterprise zones all over Ascension Parish, and I think they run on a census tract level, but you can still qualify for Enterprise Zone. It gets really technical. You can still qualify for Enterprise Zone if you hire certain types of people. So that's how most of the companies that are here qualify for Enterprise Zone. It's through the methods in which they hire the people that they hire. Now, the Economic Development Zone, which is what we've suggested to create if we do an ad valorem tax rebate, is something that we would have to create. There, as far as we know, there are none in Ascension Parish, so we would have to draw the line as to where the Economic Development Zone would be. Was that?
Or you would have to draw.
No, and that's, you answered my question, because
Yeah.
right now, that's what I was looking for. I'm looking for something to tell me what's in my district or these councilmen. They would like to know what's in their district,
Right.
and it would be feasible for them ahead of time.
Right.
For all intents and purposes, almost every project that locates or expands in Ascension Parish is eligible for enterprise zone. Just for all intents and purposes.
I just want to say one more thing. I think it's key that what Deanna said about the fact that we're not giving up anything, because they're not going to come here if everybody else around us is offering these kind of things, and if that's the kind of environment in which it is. I mean, that's what you guys have did with the consultant, going out there finding best practices, and how are all these these parishes and counties and everything else that are attracting these kind of things. What kind of tools do they have? And we're trying to just give them the tools that you guys need to go effectively do your job as best you can. So.
The example, the prime example that the consultant provided us is Texas. And Texas has no state or local sales tax on industries, on these expansions. And so if you get the same project looking at us, then they've got to have more capital investment here for the same project as over there. So therefore, their return on investment immediately goes down. Just by being across the state line. So that's the bottom line.
Any other discussion? Councilman Todd Lambert?
Yeah, Mike, you and I talked, and I'm not gonna mention any names of the company, but would that company that we talked about fall into this category? They were moving from like 20 employees to 400, and it was competitive because they were looking at another parish also.
We don't have I will say this, we don't have an application from a project today to bring to you.
Okay.
All right? Now, there's a lot of activity out there right now. And so I can't.
But you say this is on the books already.
It is
We
on
just-
the books.
Yeah. The
so-
resolution that we're providing is that we're gonna look at it when y'all
Correct.
bring it forward.
Right.
It's going to enable you guys to market this Ascension Advantage program
exactly.
when you're going
It's
out
a
there
marketing
trying to
tool.
lure people to this parish, really.
It basically allows us to say, under certain circumstances, a parish of Ascension will consider doing this
Correct.
to help you.
Consider
That's what I'd say.
Parish President?
The only thing on the ad valorem, what entities are gonna be involved in that?
As I understand from legal counsel, the easy button, if you want to call it that, is the Industrial Development Bond Board, which you appoint. That's the way it was done with IMTT.
Parish President, did you mean as far as having a say in the decision-making process, or as far as what the incentives would be? Because, I mean, Mike, you mentioned the sheriff and everything else, that's property
On the
taxes.
sales tax, you mentioned some entities. On the property tax, you say an industrial development board. Not
Right.
all of these, I guess, entities that you're talking about may end up being a plant, a chemical plant.
Correct.
That's true.
So I'm trying to find out from that perspective, where are we going as far as what entities? Are you asking parish government, the sheriff, the library board, and all this kind of stuff, all the different entities there that have ad valorem taxes, health units and stuff like that? So I don't know.
Well, the recommendation was that everything was on the table with the exception of school
Okay,
and all school related.
that was my, I guess.
That, But again, that, is not our decision. That was just the general recommendation that we made to our board.
Okay.
Councilman Thompson?
Mike, you met with the library on this? Library
No,
board?
we have not.
You plan to?
I think we certainly will when at the appropriate time, as should this payment in lieu of taxes situation come up. Should and if, when and if. That would be the politically correct thing to do, in my opinion.
Councilman Joseph?
Mike, Parish President brought a good question on ad valorem. Would currently say someone come in here today, that area already have ad valorem tax. They would be grandfathered, I mean, that ad valorem tax would be grandfathered to them, or, because all of them have an expired date on them, they have to be renewed. So, I'm saying, Lighting District, be renewed every 5 years.
Right.
Ad valorem tax, okay? But you could, right now, we have that tax rate, ad valorem right now. 3 years from now, it have to be revoted on.
Right.
Is that company will be exempt because we guarantee, we went into this agreement?
Perhaps we didn't describe this in adequate detail.
Well,
Once the property would be titled, in most cases, in the name of the Industrial Development Bond Board, which is a political subdivision of Ascension Parish, and therefore not subject to ad valorem taxes. So, I didn't understand your question. I'm sorry.
Maybe I'm a little bit trying to, Industrial Development Board, does it cover every entity in the parish? I mean, as far as, I understand if Joe Blow goes and builds a new plant, I don't want to, and that property is in his name, but he doesn't have to pay property tax on that section of land. But again, if he comes in the city of Gonzales, so he comes,
Right.
does the industrial board, does that cover the entire parish? That was my question.
No, the city of Gonzales has its own industrial bond board,
Okay.
and
But that's what-
the city of
so it would
Donaldsonville
go-
has
it would
one.
go under a different entity
Right.
in that
Sorrento
regard.
does not have one, as far as I'm aware of.
So that's what- that was basically what I
Okay, I got
understood
you.
what you
I'm sorry.
you were saying.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any objection? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, grants update. Martha?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. You need me to talk faster already? And one of the recommendations from the Falcon Winkler was for the Grants Department to update the Finance Committee on grants that are currently being worked in the financial. So tonight, I'd like to do that real quick with you. I'd like to introduce you to our grant staff. If y'all will stand. Hermina Irvin is the Assistant Grants Officer. Michelle Rabin is the Grants Coordinator. Latricia Anthony is the Grants Coordinator. And Mr. Bob Turner is the newest to our area, which I'm very proud I got. He's our project manager, and also in addition, we have a contract person that's working with us on the CDBG. So I'm going to put this on the screen real quick and go through it. I promise not to go too slow, but just to give you an update of where we are. We currently have 87 active grants, which is about $48.8 million for the parish. Administration fees that are being generated is about $325,500. And then the amount of total monies is about $49.1 million. See the financial recap, another area that the auditors asked us, or was in a, I guess in a what do you call it, an audit finding? Maybe it was because the reimbursements at one time were not being handled in a timely manner. So what we've done here is we've made an effort to change how that is. This record right here, the financial recap, is for June of 2010 to June 2011. We're actually tracking all of the reimbursements. This is expenditures that have been paid out by the parish, and we have gotten reimbursed. The pending reimbursements are the efforts of the ones that we've already submitted, but we have not received. So you have another $816,000 that are going to be coming back to the parish. The types of grants that we work on, you have federal and your state. So right now we're working through numerous federal guidelines as well as the state guidelines. The major accomplishments that have been done, the Lamar-Dixon, just for instance, we actually processed 6 federal grants, state also, in about a year's time, that totaled $7.5 million. That's a major accomplishment. On the audits, we have federal and state grant audits that were completed. We've gone through the federal with the Inspector General's office. We passed, and that was with our OEP grants. The department, this is the Department of Children's and Family Services. This is Emergency Shelter and Homeless Prevention and Rapid Rehousing. And then the internal audit with Falk and Winkler. Just on this part with the auditing and the exceptions and how we're handling our grants, this grant right here, the Rapid Rehousing, got additional $50,000 because of the management of the grant. Some of the major projects, as y'all will see, the STAG grant is almost to the end. All the projects have been completed. We have our last reimbursement is $81,000, which a part of, so we look to have that. We just finalized that in July. The Gustav Ike is a $19 million project. We total have 13 projects, 6 are with the municipalities, and 7 are with the parish. 10 of those have been going through the pre-application, 7 are in full application, and 7 of the environmental, which have to be done on each project, have been completed. The purchase of Lamar-Dixon was one of the first that we completed. That is closed out except for the pending the closeout paperwork. West Ascension drainage study has been alluded to at the West Ascension meeting. We should have completed in September. The Sorrento and Donaldsonville sewer projects, we predicted December 2011. The Gonzales Police Department is by the end of December. The purchase of the fairgrounds, just finalizing the environmental, and we look to have that maybe completed pending anything that might come up is in October. And then the Sorrento Community Center, which will be presented tonight by purchasing to approve the contract or award the selection. So the first thing as far as the community development, we were the first parish, the most for actually on acquisition, $4,690,000 give or take on drawdown for the Lamar-Dixon, and we were the first parish to actually have construction started. So you can see that they're using us as a sample for how we're doing managing our grants. Some of the other projects are with the Department of Energy. This is another federal estimate of $671,000. That's 2 different grants, one's from the federal and one's from the state. There's projects that are done. When we came to you, I believe a couple of weeks ago for the CEA between us and the Ascension St. James Airport. This is the project that we'll be doing with them. And then the second one with the state, it enters in with the municipalities once again, and we'll be addressing the HVACs and a boiler at the jail. This is to reduce the energy, more efficient, cost-effective, and that's why these grants were awarded. The HMGP for 1603, 1603N, 1607, these were the grants that were being administered through the Drainage Board. And we have now, probably in the last 6 months or so, we have taken over the responsibility for those grants. And Mr. Bob Turner is the one that's going to be the project manager and handling those. The 1786, this is what Mr. Rue alluded to and the parish president about possible fundings for the bayous. That's where those are. We have 3 projects or application. One is the Lamar Dixon, one is the drainage improvements on 5, and then the retrofitting of 8 buildings. Administrative, the grants, I know you can't see that, but they're due to the fact that some of these are pass-throughs, the grants department is actually the project manager. There is not another department, so we are actually handling all of the, not only the reimbursement, but we're handling the grant itself. So these are some of those. The DPW, they have 9 grants. I just kind of listed those of what type of grants that they are currently working with. East Ascension Drainage, just finished up the NRCS. That was with some debris removal. Mental Health, Homeland Security, Planning and Zoning, Recreation, Utilities and Sewer. We put this in their own category. It used to be run out of DPW. With the changes in the utility, we put these in that category. So your STAG grant's been completed. And then Lake Pontchartrain restoration funds are currently being run out of here, and we are in the process of applying for one for this year. In conclusion, basically the grants department has achieved the 0 auditing findings, which has been a first in a long time. Whether this department was responsible or not, the audit findings were still there. So this year when the audit came up, we have 0 findings. I'm very proud of that, and I thank the staff that's working with me, as well as the other departments. And then on the state and federal agencies, the Office of Community Development actually uses us as a benchmark for how we do business. So that's a quick overview of what we're doing. We will probably be coming back quarterly to give you an update, because we feel like that's a part that you'll know the money is coming in and also going out and where it's being spent. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
Otherwise, we are in good shape.
Councilman Cluett?
Yeah, Martha, working with you on a lot of the grants, things like that, we appreciate all your department, the whole administration on that. And that you recover some of your administrative fees through some of the grants.
Right.
So that's a help to the
It really
parish
is.
of Ascension.
We've been, that was one of the areas we focused on. In the past, maybe it wasn't one of the areas in certain grants that we wasn't picking them up, so it's a mandatory. I ask every grantor, is there administrative fees? The other thing is on the community development block grant, when we're using the in-house staff, we're actually recouping expenditures that were in that department. So we're actually increasing rather having an out on the expenditures, we're actually increasing and paying for it. So there's a lot of things that we're changing. It can't be done without the departments. I will never sit here before you and say it's all us. We have to rely on the departments to do their part, and it's important that we all share in the, the finance department, each of these departments, and our department, and working together. It's a very tedious task, and I always say I wish there was a penny for every piece of paper we put out there, but that's a compliment to the administration and the people you have working here.
Okay, thank you. Anyone
That's
else? Thank you, Martha.
Okay.
Mr. President.
I just wanted to thank that department. They do an excellent job, and certainly we're recouping a lot of our funds now as far as the administration side. And I think the grant department has done an excellent job. $50 million in grants in a year. It's phenomenal. And if it's less of the taxpayers' money that we have to we can leverage that money and make it go a lot further by getting grants and utilizing less of our local tax money.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move into our finance report section, our sales and use tax report for the month. Gwen?
Good evening. I have your regular sales and use tax report before you. It's our 3 sales tax districts, and this is for the collection month of May, which represents April sales. And you can see by the May collections compared to 2010 and year-to-date on each, that they're all up for the monthly comparison, but down a little for the year-to-date comparison. And of course, you will remember that if we would take out the audits and just compare actual collections, we are ahead of about approximately year-to-date 5% in each, with 2010 being an outstanding and very unique audit collection year. If you go to the far right, you'll see our budget comparison. This is when the budget would be presently at 41.66%. You can see all 3 of our taxing districts are above budget. 6.47 for East Ascension drainage, 7.56 for the 1%, and 7.03 for the 0.5%. Page 2 is your normal charts. These are year-to-date comparisons, and we're using just the 1-cent sales tax for this comparison. And you can see on that far right chart, you can see where the 2010 collections for the petrochemical industry is ahead of the year-to-date for the 2011 due to those audits. And then the third page is the pie chart. This just gives you a brief look at where we're collecting, what sectors our sales tax collections are coming up from, and of course we're still using the 1%. And then the last page is that history chart, and the yellow depicts year-to-date for each of the last 10, 11 years, and the red is the total for each of the years except 2011, of course. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Gwen.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 8, the revenue and expenditure report for the month. Amanda?
Good evening. I'm reporting on the financial month of May 2011, which is at 42% of the year. The total revenues are at 35.44%. And on page 4 of the report, gives you an explanation of the funds that are highlighted in green that are under the budget by 5%. And the major reason for most of those codes are due to sales taxes are recorded 1 month behind and the interest allocation is not done to the end of the year. On page 2, total expenditures are at 28.68%. There's an explanation on page 5 for the funds that are highlighted in green that are over the budget by 5%. And the major reason for this, for those codes, are due to encumbrances that have been allocated for the whole year and annual appropriations that have been processed already. On page 3 are charts that compare the year-to-date revenue and expenditures for operating, which is the yellow bar, and capital, which is the blue bar, to the budget, which is your green bar. And the last page of the report is a listing of all checks issued in May over 100,000, and the total of these checks are $1,117,175. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions? Comments? No? Okay. We'll move on to item number 9. Ms. Joan?
On June 2nd, 2011, the Purchasing Department received 4 bids for the generator at the Ascension Parish Jail. The bids were received from Arco, Diamond Electric, Gonzalez Electric, and TMC Contractors. After review, the Purchasing Department and Ascension Parish Jail recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from TMC Contractors and to authorize the parish president to enter into an agreement for this project.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Randy Cluett. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion passes.
On June 23, 2011, the Purchasing Department received 11 bids for the Santa Monica Volunteer Fire Station renovation. The bids were received from J. Reed Construction, Core Construction, Gitro General Contractors, MBD Construction Company, ANR Construction LLC, LA Turnkey, Brian Bush Construction, Charles Carter Construction, Capital Construction, Piku Brothers Construction, and Acadian Commercial Builders. After review, the Purchasing Department, Fire District Number 1, and Jones Plus Fusion recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from J. Reed Construction and to authorize the parish president to enter into an agreement for this project.
Okay, motion by Councilman Cluett. Second by Councilman Benny Johnson. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion passes.
On June 16, 2011, the Purchasing Department received 8 bids for the Prairieville Fire Station Number 31 renovation and alternate number 1. The bids were received from Acadian Commercial Contractors, ANR Construction, Brian Bush Construction Company, Charles Carter Construction, Dumite Construction, First Millennium Construction, Piku Brothers Construction, and MBD Construction. After review, the Purchasing Department and Department of Public Work recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid, and should have been Fire District Number 3. Recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid and from Brian Bush Construction and to authorize the parish president to enter into an agreement for this project.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion passes.
On April 28, 2011, the Purchasing Department received 2 bids for the Ascension Parish Skate Park Phase 1. The bids were received from American Ramp Company and Charles Carter Construction Company. After review, the Purchasing Department recommends accepting the lowest responsive bid from
American Ramp.
American Ramp?
Yeah.
American Ramp, and to authorize the parish president to enter into an agreement for this project.
So moved, Chairman.
Motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, second by Councilman Randy Cluett. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yeah, Ms. Gwen, in the budget for that, was it budgeted for just 150? Am I r-
I don't have the budget on me.
It went up to 109. We asked for additional, I think it was. It went to 190.
190?
190.
That's what the budget amendment was for, was 190,000.
Okay.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any objection? Motion passes.
On June 22, 2011, the Purchasing Department received 3 bids for bituminous mixture for hot application asphalt. The bids were received from Coastal Bridge, Louisiana Asphalt, and R.J. Daigle and Sons. After review, the Purchasing Department and Department of Public Work recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from Coastal Bridge.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Thompson,
Second.
second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion passes.
On June 29, 2011, the Purchasing Department received 7 bids for corrugated polyethylene pipe. The bids were received from Colburn Supply, F&G Services, HD Waterworks, Industrial Municipal Supply, Sorrento Lumber Company, Coastal Culvert and Supply, and Keeling Company. After review, the Purchasing Department and Department of Public Works recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from F&G Services.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Thompson, second by Councilman Johnson. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion passes.
On June 22, 2011, the Purchasing Department received 2 bids for pump sand. The bids were received from Ernest Martin Incorporated and Renee's Trucking. After review, the Purchasing Department and DPW recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid for Renee's Trucking.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Thompson, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion passes.
On June 29, 2011, the Purchasing Department received 5 bids for PVC sewer drainage pipe. The bids were received from Colburn Supply, F&G Services, HD Waterwork, Industrial Municipal Supply, and Sorrento Lumber Company. After review, the Purchasing Department and DPW recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from HD Waterworks.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, second by Councilman Thompson. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion passes. Next item, number 10, request for qualifications to Sorrento Community Center Architectural and Engineering Services. Ms. Jones.
On May 24, 2011, the Purchasing Department received 9 proposals for the Sorrento Community Center Architectural and Engineering Services. The qualifications were received from Architects Plus, BBI Architects, Chenevert Architects, Duplantis Design Group, H. David Cole and Associates, Margot Architect, Piers APC, Washer Hill Lipscomb, Campanus, and WDG LLC. After review, the Professional Engineering Selection Committee recommend accepting the proposal submitted by Washer Hill Lipscomb, Campanus, and to authorize the parish president to enter into an agreement for this service.
Need a motion?
I'll
Motion
make
by,
the motion for discussion.
motion by Councilman Thompson. I had a second already from Councilman Kluwat. Discussion, Councilman Kluwat.
What's the extent of this program? What are we doing here? What's the extent of this bid for
This is
Martha?
one of the community development block grants. And therefore, due to the policy we are coming to finance, it should have been listed that we're requested for qualifications for the architectural design of the community, Sorrento Community Center, that is being funded through the Community Development Block Grant. But we are ministering all those.
No cost to the parish, correct?
I'm sorry?
There's no cost to the
No
parish.
cost to the parish.
No, the funds are coming out of the
CMBG.
grant.
Yeah.
And if it goes over, then we
Administration
will.
fees and all.
Right, everything is included
Right.
for this, but we have to do the design and then come up with the plans and specs, and then we'll bid it out. If the cost goes over the amount allotted, then we'll have to redo it, but the parish is administering that for this. Is that
I
it?
guess just based on the criteria that going forward to pick a design firm,
We go through the selection committee.
right?
Ms. Joan, at the purchasing department, we provide the RFQ
Yes,
from our office.
That's what I'm saying, you provided an RFQ.
Right,
To get
and
the firm in.
goes through the selection committee. The selection committee rates them. It comes back for approval to go forward to enter into an agreement.
Yeah, I recognize some of the firms being pretty good firms. I just didn't recognize this firm, and
Right,
all right, that's all right. You got a lot of them out there.
that's all right.
Just need a little explanation on the whole project. Thank you, ma'am.
Anyone else have any discussion? Okay, I had a motion and a second. Any objection? Motion passes. Item number 11, the St. James Youth Center rate approval. Amanda?
I'm requesting a motion to approve the rate of $120 per day per bed for incarceration of juveniles at the St. James Youth Center.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Kluwat,
Second.
second by Councilman Thompson. Any discussion? Councilman,
What are we
Council,
currently paying right now?
Councilman Johnson. Sorry, go ahead.
The increase is $10 more per bed, per day.
Councilman Lambert, did you have something?
That was a question, yeah.
Councilman Joseph?
Over the past 5 years, what is the increase? They've been increasing by what, 5%, 10%, or are they consistent with their increase? And I know you probably.
I'm not sure, but they're not even, the rate that St. James Board authorized was not to, in 2008, not to exceed $130 a day per bed, and we're not at that mark yet, but they had authorized to give a 5% increase every year.
Okay. Any further discussion? Any objection? Motion passes. Item number 12, investment policy amendment. Dawn?
You have before you the Ascension Parish Government Investment Policy. This policy hasn't been revised since November 1998. I just want to state that the parish auditors have reviewed and approved this revised policy. And as stated in the policy, the authority for us to invest these funds is governed by state statutes. The changes are highlighted in yellow, and if you turn to page 2, section 7 for collateralization, there's a statement which reads, collateral levels shall be monitored by the treasurer or assistant treasurer to determine compliance with this policy and state law. The auditors recommended that we add this statement to the policy, and we did this in order to comply with their recommendations. Section 8, under safekeeping and custody, there's a change was made to state all security transactions entered into by the Ascension Parish government shall be conducted on a book entry basis. What this means is that everything is now done electronically. It's no longer in certificate form. For example, we can review the monthly statements online. We view transactions daily in the investment account, and we can view market values and other things. Once you've had a chance to read over the policy, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Kluwat. Any discussion?
Yes.
Councilman Kluwat.
Yeah, this is basically just audit findings and clearing up some verbiage that we have. No changing in powers, no voodoo math anywhere. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Anyone else? Any objection? Motion passes. Item number 13 is our monthly contracts report. Kemlin?
The monthly contracts report for the month of June was included in your packet. If you have any questions, please let me know at this time.
Okay.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Thompson.
Second.
By Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Any objection? Motion passes. Councilman Todd Lambert. Motion to adjourn by Councilman Lambert, second by Councilman Kluwat. So adjourned.